Well, let's first have a discussion about the fact that every family that's coming into your building is in the middle of crisis. That word is so important to keep in mind because we often only think of the individual that's suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia as the person that's in the middle of a crisis. But it is their family members, it's their external family members, it affects the entire family, and it is a crisis and a nightmare for everyone. So as you watch somebody walk into your building, into your community, and into that room to sit down and have a discussion with you, keep in mind that this is an individual that is going through a crisis, through an absolute nightmare right now in their life. And let that be a filter through which you have every aspect of communication. Now, I want to talk to you about those three individuals that you would be meeting with. It's three different types of individuals that you're going to meet with on a regular basis, and everybody will generally fall into one of these three categories. And that is the adult child, the spouse, or the potential resident. With each of them, they're going to have a completely different set of needs, and I want you to needs match with a specific word with each of them. And I want to talk about their unique needs for each of those individuals. The first one we're going to start with is the adult child, because studies show that 78% of the time, the person that you're going to be meeting with, that's going to be the primary person seeking care for their loved one or for their father or for their mother or for whoever it may be, it's going to be the adult child. And a lot of times, 75% of the time, it's going to be the adult daughter. So the female generally will take the lead on that. And I want you to have in mind that for the adult child, they're looking for solutions. That is the only thing that they are looking for. They are looking for other things as well, but the only thing that makes a difference to them is solutions. And I want you to really have an idea of what their present state of mind is, because the adult child is often dealing with the fact that they have a very busy home life of their own. They'll normally have children of their own. They'll have a full-time career of their own. And if they had one wish in their hearts, it would be to go back in time and let it be at a time where mom and dad were fine, that there weren't these issues present and that they didn't have to make this decision. But they want and need a solution in this moment because things aren't going right for them anymore. Mom's not taking medication like she used to. Dad is having an issue of not able to take care of himself and his activities of daily living like he was once able to 6 months ago. They have a problem and they need a solution. And that word solution, I want you to write it at the top of your page of any notes that you're ever taking, whenever you're meeting with somebody that is the adult child, and have it known in your mind that this is an individual that I want to communicate solutions to through every aspect of my communication with them. And it's very different for the other two, but I want to really drill down on the adult child first. The adult child, I want you to keep in mind that one of the things that they're dealing with right now is that they're dealing with a reversal of roles, which their roles that they want to exist are they want to be the daughter and they want mom to be mom, or they want dad to be dad. And you know what? Dad or mom, they want to be mom or dad as well. They don't want to have a situation where their daughter or their son is having to dictate information to them or telling them what to do. And that's what happens, is that those roles become reversed. And now all of a sudden a daughter is having to tell mom what to do and mom is having to receive this from a daughter. And it doesn't work out because the mom is always going to see her daughter as the same little girl that was walking around when she was 3 years old. That the same little girl that she raised and told what to do in every step of her life. And the same thing for the daughter. That those roles get reversed and things become very uncomfortable. So we're here to reestablish those roles. And for an adult child, again, that key word is solutions. Solutions. With the adult child, another thing that's really important for them right now, and this is going to also be important for the spouse, is that they're also dealing with a lot of guilt. They're dealing with the guilt of not being able to have the time that they wish they had because they are so busy at home. But if they had been there in this moment, maybe things would be different. Or I wish I had the ability to have my loved one come and move into my house, but it's just not something that's feasible or beneficial for their quality of life. They have a number of things on their heart that is creating multiple layers of guilt. And we need to have an understanding that they're dealing with a lot of guilt, but they need a solution to the issue that they're dealing with. Adult children need solutions. They're also struggling with things like finances, and then of course time limitations. Normally an adult child's coming in and they have just a little bit of time on their lunch break, or they're going to meet with you in the late afternoon because of their busy work schedule, or they're taking the day off and they're trying to visit as many locations as they can in this one day off that they have, and they don't know what to do next, but all they do know is that they need a decision made by 3 days from now because that's when their loved one's going to be released from the hospital, or whatever it might be. They're dealing with time limitations, and keep that in mind. They're also dealing with a lot of family dynamics. So whenever you're working with an adult child, keep in mind that there's probably other adult children that are a part of this decision-making process, but they're not nearly as a part of this decision-making process as that person that's sitting in that room with you. Whether that turns out to be the power of attorney or not, that adult child that you're working with might have siblings that are a little more distant, and for us to recognize some of those family dynamics, because it probably also comes with a lot of issues of being frustrated with their siblings, or I'm not very happy with my brother or my other sister because they don't understand what's going on, and this burden is upon me, and I'm the one that has to do it. And for us to recognize also with this family dynamics that people are oftentimes grieving loss. They're grieving the loss of who mom used to be or who dad used to be. And that whenever they're grieving that loss, sometimes some of those external family members, like those external siblings, they're going to choose to kind of remove themselves from the situation, or to be more reserved or more withdrawn, and that leaves that burden on that one adult child that's coming and sitting in front of you needing a solution, and they're dealing with those family dynamics. They're also dealing with resistance from their parents. So whether that's they're trying to find placement for their father or for their mother, an adult child is dealing with that resistance of being resistant to move, or resistant to change, or resistant to any number of different things, or care in general. They're dealing with that resistance, and it's adding all those layers of guilt, and it's adding that layer of need on their end, that they need a solution. And they're also dealing with exhaustion. A lot of times they're at the end of the rope of maybe they've provided care for their family for a period of time, but they're exhausted at this point, and they have other responsibilities that do take priority. Priority for themselves, priority for their children of their own, which are the potential residents' grandchildren, priority of providing for their household. A lot of times they have a full-time career, and they're exhausted, and they're coming to you at a state of absolute exhaustion. And then, of course, they're always dealing with health issues of their own, and potential marital stress. This can be something that's very difficult for the adult child in regards to their marriage. There's marital stress that could be present. And then also presence of depression. And then I want to also let you know that for the adult child, there's a lot of times, a lot of denial, that they are not fully aware of their mother or father's true situation. And to recognize that in them, that they are in that state of denial, and to be able to get them to where they need to be, not necessarily to acceptance, but to a solution. So again, I want you to have all of that in mind about an adult child, but I want you to have the word solution at the forefront of your mind, that when they come into you in the middle of their crisis, like all of the other individuals will, they're coming into you with a crisis that needs a solution. Now, going on to the next person that you will commonly encounter, that is the spouse. And spouses are very different than the adult child, because you have the adult child that came in looking for a solution, but if you sit down with a spouse that's trying to seek care for their husband or for their wife, and you mention the word solution, you will get such an immense pushback, because they in no way need a solution. They don't need an answer to somebody that's going to be the solution for them that's going to somehow provide a miracle for 45 or 47 years of marriage. We have no idea what they're going through. We have no idea what any of these individuals are truly going through. But we do know that for a spouse, what they need is a partnership. They need to know that we're here to carry this load with them. So that is the main word I want you to take away from this is spouses need a partnership. And through a partnership, that's the only way you're going to genuinely reach a spouse. You're going to be able to let them know that we're here to carry this load with them, that we're not here to take this load away from them, that we're going to carry this burden with them, and that we're going to allow them to still have control of this situation, and that we want to be in a partnership with them. And that word is going to be one of the only things that is going to have an impact on them. Now, to kind of dig a little bit deeper on spouses, they're dealing with a number of issues too. They're dealing with loss of their independence. They're having a lot of those feelings of their own, that they're not as independent as they used to be. They're dealing with the prospect of really the fact that they're surviving, but they're not thriving in that moment. They're not as able as they were a while back to take care of their loved one, and they're no longer being really successful because it's too much. It's too much for them, and they're carrying, just like with the adult child, they're carrying a lot of guilt. They're carrying even more guilt than we could ever imagine with the adult child, because there are so many times that a spouse is going to tell you that I said till death do us part, and to me, those words mean that I will be the one person that takes care of my wife until the last moments of her life. But for them to realize that it's not about that you're not able to provide every aspect of care on a daily schedule, because when dealing with somebody with memory care and with Alzheimer's, it's really not about what somebody can personally be able to do. Much like if somebody were to need to go to a hospital, somebody that is that person's loved one or their spouse, they don't have the ability to perform the surgery that would be necessary, or all the additional care that's necessary in a hospital, and that mindset would need to be changed. But it is there, that aspect of guilt. And then the family members that are spouses that are coming to meet with you. Spouses, while they're seeking partnership, they're very benefit driven. They need to hear about benefits, how this is going to be of assistance to them. Like, you know what? I know you've been doing showers this way. This is how we do them here, and we'd be able to provide you with this form to talk about how we provide our showering assistance, and that way we can kind of have a partnership on that, or allow them to really understand the benefits of the care that's being provided. And then with a spouse, really have in mind that they desperately do not want to let go. So a lot of times somebody is thinking about this decision as letting go of their loved one. And we need to make this decision smaller for the spouse. We need to make this about a partnership, and we need to make this about a choice that happens on a month-to-month basis. That we're here to provide them with a solution for today and for this week and for next week and for the next month and for the next season and throughout the next year. That we're here to take things in increments that are going to be okay for them, because they don't want to let go. So don't let them. Don't let them feel like this is a page that's being turned, because in ways this is a very, very large decision, but let it also be about the decision that needs to be made for today. And at all times, when working with the spouse, keep in mind that they are looking for a partnership. Finally, I want you to have in mind the third person that you'd come across is the potential resident themselves. So we've talked about the adult child. This is the father or mother of that adult child. We've talked about the spouse, and this is the husband or wife of that spouse. And their needs are very different. We said that with the adult child, they are looking for solutions. That with the spouse, they are looking for partnerships. With the potential resident, they are looking for choices. And they need freedom. They need independence. They need the ability to know that They have as many choices presented to them as possible because they don't need a solution. We can't talk to a potential resident about how you don't have to worry about medications anymore, you don't have to worry about driving anymore, and you don't have to worry about preparing your meals anymore. Those things are not helpful for a potential resident because somebody wants their independence. But if somebody says, you know what, you're going to get to choose when you do this and when you do this. During meal times, you're going to get a choice between 2 different meals. To have as many choices presented to that potential resident is going to be what is most important for them. And kind of digging a little bit deeper, again, potential residents are dealing with their loss of their own independence. They're dealing with the potential of leaving home sometimes. They're dealing with the idea of different financial issues. A lot of times they're very concerned about finances, or they have no concern about finances because they're not immediately worried about that, but it's still somewhere in their mind. They're dealing with issues of depression also, and they're dealing with their own aspects of guilt, even as a potential resident, that they want things to be okay. And they want to be able to have the independence that they once had, but it's just not an option for them at this moment. They want choices. And we need to make sure that we don't mix those different solutions. Adult children, they need solutions. Spouses need partnerships. And the potential resident needs choices. And don't offer different solution, the different answer to a different party. I want to leave you with the idea that if all 3 of those individuals are present, you have the adult child in the room and the spouse and then the potential resident, you want to have all of your focus directed specifically to the potential resident. And the reason for that is that even though the adult child may be the power of attorney and the key decision maker, the adult child is going to be happy if the potential resident is happy. The spouse is going to be happy if the potential resident is happy. So you want to communicate directly with that potential resident. Now, if the potential resident is not present and you have an adult child and a spouse in a room, you're going to communicate directly to the spouse, because by making that spouse happy, you're going to be making the adult child happy. So even though that adult child may be the key decision maker, you want to communicate directly to the spouse. And then if the spouse is not present, you'll be communicating directly to the adult child, and remember what that individual's needs are, and that ultimately our goal is going to be to talk to the spouse and to talk to the potential resident if they are involved in this decision. But we'll continue with additional lessons as well, but this one is going to just kind of give you an overview of what our 3 separate customers are and what their needs are. Again, adult children need solutions, spouses need partnerships, and the potential residents that come to your community, they need choices.